Hey guys, what is up? Niad here with Film Comics Explained. So we're diving right into Aliens, a 4-issue crossover event that ties in with Prometheus Fire and Stone. Now, although it was written after Prometheus, it is set several years before Angela, Galgo and Francis land on LV-223. The story begins on Hadley's Hope, before the events of the movie Aliens. We have the population of Hadley's Hope responding to the infestation that has broken out. We know of course that Newt's parents were surveyors who stumbled upon the alien ship. Her father was attacked by a facehugger and was the reason the outbreak began. We see the outbreak taking place and we get a narration of events by Russell. We didn't see him in Prometheus, but it was his work in the cave that led Francis to inject Eldon. We see a gruesome display of death as the Xenomorphs hunt down the unsuspecting people. Russell says for a long time they didn't think anybody was going to make it out of Hadley's Hope. We see him leading a group of people away to safety as he informs us that he'd been in charge of the terraforming operation, building a better world, or at least he thought he was. They are running as quickly as they can, but the aliens are in close pursuit. Russell anxiously looks around the corner as he can hear movement coming towards them. As he turns the corner, he and the group are relieved to find many more survivors, who are just as relieved to see they aren't aliens. The other group is led by Genevieve Dion, who used to be a greenhouse expert, and who also schooled the children. Genevieve tries to lead them down a corridor, and Russell stops her, telling her that it isn't a good idea. He lets her know that he has a plan to get them off this rock. What Russell tells us is that unfortunately there are no ships that were capable of faster than light speed, but he still had an idea. And now he reveals that the Onager was made to ferry cargo to orbit and back and nothing else, but getting them off the surface and away from the aliens was a start. We start to find out about another character called Nolan Cale, who was also a surveyor. Now he'll play an important part in the events to come, but right now he's ordering his crew to load as many supplies onto the Onager as possible. One of his men asks if the ship will make it that far, and Nolan tells him that they don't have a choice. This is when we start to realize Russell's plan is coming into place. They can't seem to get a lucky break, as this has been interrupted by Xenomorphs who have broken out onto the airfield. Nolan orders his people to open fire and they began to shoot. Who would wait to be told to shoot? I don't know about that bit. Now, they managed to down one of the aliens, but the blood from it lands on one of them, burning him in the process. The other is also killed. As a large group led by Russell approach the tarmac, they realize things aren't going as planned. Genevieve urges them to turn back, but Russell insists there is no other way out. We know that Russell is extremely intelligent, and basically has calculated that this is the only chance that they have. They see an opening towards the hangar and make a run for the Onager. Russell is taking charge here, and while he is telling everyone to get inside, he also asks Cale if they got any supplies loaded on board. Now Cale is still in shock by what he is witnessing. He finally responds by letting him know that they didn't get everything they wanted, but were able to get the transceiver and some emergency rations on board. Russell tells him to close the cargo hatches as he begins to close the main doors. Now, we're in the cockpit, and Ramona appears to be the most qualified pilot, but informs Jean and Russell that she isn't rated to use this equipment. Jean jokes around and tells her she won't tell the company if Ramona won't. Russell asks Cale if the cargo is clear. Now, he tells him that his men were able to get the hatches closed, but before he can get the hangar door closed himself, a few aliens come on board. Russell asks him again if they are clear, as they can't leave with the doors open. Russell notifies him that if not, they can release the clamps on the cargo, but that would mean Cale would have to stay behind. Cale panics, and out of fear he lies and tells him that they are clear. With that, they begin to take off. Although they have left LV-426, they are far from being in the clear. They don't even know about the aliens in the cargo bay, but it appears they plan to land on LV-223. What is revealed is that the Onager was designed to drill and carry ore into low orbit, and wasn't made to carry over 36 people off planet. Russell asks how they are going, and Jean says the ride is shaky. Ramona says the ride is nothing compared to the landing they will have to endure. They are traveling too quickly and there is not enough fuel for a controlled descent. They begin to descend into LV-223. and they are all bracing themselves. Ramona tells everybody to hang on as they're about to feel a world of hurt. We see the exterior of the Onager is burning up in LV-223's atmosphere. We then see that they have crashed onto the moon with tremendous force. Russell says that he thought for a minute that the worst of it was behind, but he was wrong. He points out that the company records indicated that this was a desolate and lifeless planet like the other one, and that they had spent so many years trying to terraform. Both moons aren't supposed to have a breathable atmosphere, but here they are, breathing for some reason. It appears for now that apart from a few cuts and bruises, they are in the clear. Unfortunately for them, Cale has been knocked unconscious as he was in the umbilicus. As they survey the situation, Russell suggests they get the medkit from the cargo bay in order to appropriately care for Cale. As Russell heads for the cargo, Cale begins to come to. Now Jean tells him to take it easy and that they all made it there in one piece. She then tells him he took a nasty bump on the head and needs the medkit before she can rule out a concussion. He jokes around saying he's going to put in for workers' compensation for the injury when they get home. Russell tells a group of guys to help him get the door open. Inside the cargo isn't just a medkit, but also the transceiver, which can broadcast a distress signal. He's essentially whipping everybody up into tasks. I mean, that is what a good leader does in situations like this. You delegate productive tasks to keep everyone busy and focused. A few guys on the roof of the Onager joke around saying he is tougher than their old boss back on Hadley's Hope, as they swing a rope down to get the door open. It's at that moment that Cale begins to remember and shouts at them to stop. As the door swings open, the Xenomorphs that had snuck on board make their exit and begin attacking the survivors. We knew this was going to happen and was only a matter of time. We see the two men on the roof are immediately killed as the others make a break for it. The aliens are in close pursuit as the chaos ensues. While they are being killed, we begin to see Russell's analytical brain at work. It's this side of him that will begin to separate him from the group. Although he points out that they were horrible, he still found them beautiful and amazing. We will see the effect this fascination will have on his actions down the track. We can also see that there is no chance as they are not trained or equipped to deal with this. The survivors are beginning to drop like flies. One of Cale's friends is taken by an alien and he is screaming out to them. Jean pulls him up and tries to get him to move, but he is consumed with guilt. At this point, Russell realizes their best option is to split up. He tells them to do so with an effort to head to higher ground and to lose the aliens in the hills. This is insane. Every image that we seem to see of them running away has an alien killing one of them. They're dropping, man. There's barely any of them left now. I love the artwork here by Gustin Licio. We see the survivors trying to flee, but it is revealed that 38 people had landed onto LV-223. 5 were dead within 10 minutes of landing, and that some were dragged away screaming. I love this next line, where Russell tells us that he thought for a moment that they were out of the woods, but it turned out they just found themselves lost in different woods, and they brought the monsters with them this time, indicating they are in the same position they were in before. As they stumble into new terrain, they begin to point out that they couldn't see the clearing they are in now from below. Russell strategizes that it wouldn't be too hard to fortify from this height advantage they now have. Cale asks if Russell ever stops making plans, to which Jean tells him to give him a break, as he is an engineer. Alluding to the fact that he's always making plans. Now, Russell tells him that he's glad to see that they made it out alive. Jean lets him know that some of the others had passed them on the way up, and suggests that they set out to look for them in the morning. He informs her that they can't leave until they get the transceiver that is back on the Onager. Now, Jean tells him that getting past those things won't be a likely option, while Cale says that he can't go back there, and is obviously freaking out here. I think this is a combination of nerves and guilt. Russell calms him down by telling him to take it easy, and that they're going to make this work. We start getting the realization that the information being passed on to us from Russell is actually from the future, and well after the events that are taking place. He says they were naive to think they only had a handful of monsters to worry about, alluding to the possibility that there are many things they still haven't uncovered. He signals that their situation is about to get worse, as we reach the conclusion of Volume 1. Oh, damn, that was a great story. I honestly preferred this much more to Prometheus Fire and Stone, but I'll let you guys be the judges. Please let me know your opinions in the comments below. With that in mind, that's all that we have time for today. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and hit subscribe. I'm Niat from Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.